How was the time that you spent in Baltimore when you opened up the church there?
Well, when we came back, we got a church in the inner city, so-called hood in Baltimore. And that's when, I was telling you that I started teaching in the neighborhood. And my husband would work in the church, and then he kind of worked with the diocese. The bishop would call him out of the church because he sent him to another area or church that was having problems. So he was always called on to be like the fixer up, the handyman. And that went on until after a while, one of the churches, the last church that he went to before we came, down back to Georgia, was they kept him, they wouldn't let him go. So we stayed there, before we left Philadelphia.
I heard you mention AFCOM. Can you speak a little bit more on that, on AFCOM?
AFCOM was a shortcut for the African community, AFCOM. And my son really was the CEO or the director of AFCOM. And he would invite, this is where we really got a lot of information about African life and African students, because we really had well-trained African musicians and African teachers of the culture, from different areas of Africa. And we would have African banquets and African, we had African programs where we invited the community. It was really a busy time there, very busy time.
Do you have anything that you would like to say or let me know of or ask?
All of this was going on, around the time when we were talking about the march to Washington, And so all of this was going on. It was just so much activity going on. This was when the young people from colleges were sitting in the restaurants, and all of the murders and the water spouts coming from the police and the dogs and everything. This was when right after my daughter went to college, and they would sit in the president's office, just rebellion everywhere. And this is when they started cutting their hair and wearing afros. And that was a shocking thing to my husband and me, but we finally learned how to wear afros too. And it was just a very active time in the community, in the world, actually, in the United States, when the rebellion really was in high gear.